Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Zaggard-tastic video. It is I, your friend, the one, the only Z, a single gut-erd Zaggard, and I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, night, evening, whatever time it is for you today. And it is another Avatar video, as you can see by my shirt. We're doing episode 2 of Avatar live action by Netflix, and I gotta say, it was fun. I liked it. So we spent the whole episode, more or less, on Kyoshi Island. I think we knew this from the trailers. I'm glad that the trailers have mostly shown, from what I can tell, maybe the first 2 to 3 episodes. And again, we get another hour-long episode, which is great. There are shows that have come out recently that are live-action adaptations of other things, and for some reason, they didn't even have 40-minute episodes, which is ridiculous. But I'm glad we got another hour-long episode. Good amount of content here. It was fun being on Kyoshi Island again, and it's very different. The first thing I immediately noticed is Kyoshi's statue is no longer wooden, it is stone. Which makes sense. She was originally an earthbender, so it would make sense to earthbend a statue for her instead of make one out of wood. But that's neither here nor there. It doesn't really change the story or anything. We also, for Zuko and Iroh for a little bit, they're on, what was it? They're on like a Fire Nation, what do you call it? Port Town, that's it, Port Town. My brain was blanking. And I'm going to talk about this scene first because it's a lot smaller and is more of a driving force for the plot than the main central location for this episode. I really liked it. I like seeing Zuko and Iroh walking around. Zuko's like, I need to get information. Iroh's like, calm, Zuko. We need to use our intelligence, our wit. We need to get enough information without giving up too much information, much like playing Pai Sho and stuff like that. Bring up his Pai Sho playing, which is very important to his character in small details. If you know, you know. And then he's like, also, we should get, and he leans to the guy, rat quail eggs? Yes, rat quail eggs, which are very good for, vitality? Like, I like that scene where he's, like, clearly trying to distract Zuko from his obsession with the Avatar. And he's also got that, like, very energetic, we've got to buy all these things, like in that one episode with the pirates, where he, like, buys a Sungi horn and he's trying to get a new Pai Sho piece. And then after that, he's like, look, when we're doing this, you need to be focused, quiet, and you need sticky rice. And he sees sticky rice and runs off. And you see Zuko's actor like, Like, he's all confused. Like, I thought that was really good. Then we get to actual Kyoshi Island with Avatar and all them. And at first I was like, why is the mayor being so, like, hostile to them? If you watch the episode, you already know. You know, full spoilers and all that stuff. You know, I was kind of annoyed. If you didn't know, they get captured, and this time, instead of just immediately being like, oh, he's the Avatar, yes, he can be our guest, they're like, you can't be here. And it makes sense because a big part of Kyoshi Island is that they've stayed neutral in the war. They haven't joined either side. And they are worried, the mayor is, that having them on the island will bring the Fire Nation to them. Because it makes sense. The Avatar is going to be the biggest target of the Fire Nation's attack after major capital cities like Ba Sing Se. So they're going to put a lot of resources into trying to capture him. And the mayor being nervous about it makes sense. They also start building up Suki and Sokka's relationship a lot more. And on that note, people who were upset that they took out Sokka's sexism from the show, and those of us, me included, I will admit I was wrong, thought they were just like toning it down because it was a bit too cartoony. No, they completely strip it away. And I think that was not a good move. I think they should have kept it because it was a big part of his character growth, but also it's only a part of his character growth for the first 3 or 4 episodes. After that, it never comes up again. So you could take it out and it won't change a lot of his character arc. I think his bigger character arc is learning to actually be a leader, not just bossy, learning to use tactics and not just brute strength, and learning to exist and fight in a world with people who have magic elemental fighting techniques. And that's what they focus on in this, is she's training him and he's like, how are you able to do this? You're not even a bender. And it's like, yeah, but as us as non-benders, we need to try even harder to show them that we are just as capable. I don't think those are the exact lines she says, but that's what I got out of it. That's what I remember, my ADHD brain. And I gotta say, they took out the sexism, but they really focused on him becoming a great warrior. And I like that. I think this is a great way to do it. And again, they're building up him and Suki's kind of like romantic feelings for each other already. I think that's the right approach. I'm not saying him and Suki's relationship was bad in the show, but Suki doesn't have that many episodes she's in pre season 3. I think it's a total of maybe 3 episodes, one of which Sokka's not in before season 3. And having it show that they clearly like each other already really works. Like, she's kind of like watching him, she's kind of into him. You can tell she's like got some like, and he's like, oh, a girl's looking at me, like she's kind of pretty. Like, oh, he doesn't do a wave, but like I feel like when they did that nod in on the inside, he kind of went, hey, kind of, you know. So then we go to what Aang is going for. The reason they came to Kyoshi Island in this version, instead of it being riding the elephant koi, it's because he's trying to learn how to control the avatar state, which makes sense. And it did do one thing that bugged me a little bit, but it didn't make me angry. My brain doesn't like this, but it's not bad. I just don't like it. Is he tries to contact an avatar and he's at the shrine and he contacts Kyoshi first. I liked in the original series that he contacts Roku first, and he has to because that was the most recent avatar, and he has to go back in the line because it's like it felt like there was like a magical barrier between just him and talking to any of his past lives. Like he had to kind of go in order in the beginning to really unlock or like connect to his past selves, you know? But they do say that he has to be at these shrines, which I think also is a good idea. I think it's also a good idea that he has to be at these shrines to connect to his past selves. And I just realized he, one of the things the director said is that he can only go into the avatar state in very specific circumstances. If you notice, he went into the avatar state when he was at the Kyoshi shrine in this episode. And he also did in the air temple near Avatar Gang Chen. So maybe that's why he went into that, part of the reason he went into the avatar state then. I might be completely wrong, but my brain is just connecting that. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. But it's also not necessary. The ADHD is like, oh, that's cool. So anyways, he connects to her and he's talking to her and she's like, you have to be brave, strong, a leader, a diplomat. Like you have to be all these things. Like, well, I don't want to be all these things. Like, it's not up to you. You have to be these things whether you want to or not. And it makes sense that out of all avatars, she would be the most you have to be this thing, because if you know the lore, the avatar before her is Kuruk, and Kuruk was a very laid back, chill avatar. The world, he was an avatar during peace times, and so he didn't really have a lot he had to do, so he just kind of hung out and did whatever. And because he did that, that's what led to the rise of General Chin, I believe was his name, or was it Admiral Chin? But either way, Chin the Conqueror. I'll just call him that. And because of Chin the Conqueror, Kyoshi had to do she had to split her island off the mainland. And also in the lore, there were a bunch of people who broke into Ba Sing Se's, what do you call it, castle, and they stole a bunch of goods because they were poor and they needed money. But they were cultural artifacts, and so Kyoshi created the Dai Li to protect the cultural identity of the Earth Kingdom, and that was all because Kuruk didn't get involved in any of this stuff. He's like, you guys deal with it. And so it makes sense that out of all avatars, she's the one who's most like, you have to be the one in the front. You have to do all this shit because she had to do all this. She also lived to be like 200 and something, which is, I don't know why they wrote that into the lore, but whatever. I thought that was really well done. Like showing that kind of side of her, like she's like very much a warrior, a fighter, a leader, in control of everything. Like she had all this weight on her, and she's like, you have to too. I don't care that you're freaking 12 years old. I don't care what age you are. If you were 6, you'd have to have all this weight on you. Deal with it. And then we see the Fire Nation come up, and I like that we see when Zhao finds out about Zuko. He's very sneaky and conniving, and they still have him do the whole like questioning. They don't say it, but torturing the crew. That's how it's always been in my head, is that he tortures the crew. Then he just leaves without telling Zuko, and Zuko's like, he left. He's after the Avatar. And I like that they show Zhao's like using his command, just brute force it, like how he kind of does. He's very brute force, just go in, fire blazing. And they show Zuko's desperation, like, we got to get there first, but we can't. We're behind. And I was like, maybe we take another path. And he sees the statue and is like, that's where the Avatar would be. Maybe. We'll check there first. And he was right. And then they had this one line. Well, there are two lines that I really liked within like a 5-minute span that I'm going to talk about. So Suki and Sokka, they're training and they're like kind of having that rom-com, like, oh, they're touching each other and helping each other, falling in love, which I thought was cute. And again, it helps build up that they have emotions and attraction to each other a lot better. And they're about to kiss, and then some bells start ringing, and she goes, "The bell." And he's like, "You hear it too?" That cracked me up. Oh my god. The way he delivered that line, "You hear it too?" Like, he's like wedding bells in his head, I guess, is the idea. It was so funny. I had to go back and rewatch it, and Claire and I laughed at it again the second time. I liked it. That stuck in my head. And then we get Zhao and the mayor and Suki kind of meeting and confronting. It's like, so, we are here. And they're talking about, like, he's like, Kyoshi has stayed out of the war. And it's like, yes, Kyoshi has always stayed out of the war because of its insignificance. The way he said that was well written for a Fire Nation soldiers. Because there's like so many moments where Zhao and other characters like, we are fire, the superior element. They always look down on everyone else. And him not just saying uninvolvement, but insignificance. Straight up saying that this island is insignificant. Your culture, your people, nothing about you matters. That's why we haven't invaded you. That subtle line there was really thought out, and I really like it. I think it's well done, and it really characterizes Zhao and the dark part of the Fire Nation really well, and how the Fire Nation kind of thinks of themselves at this moment. And then we get, they start fighting him, and they're having a fight in the middle of the town. By the way, they cause almost no damage in this town, in this version. In the original version, like the whole town was straight up on fire, but I guess that might have been too much. Maybe too much CGI. That's what I'm thinking. Probably to save on money and budget. They didn't want to set everything on fire. So it's very muted fire, which was fine. It didn't bug me too much. I just noticed it, so I wanted to bring it up. One of the things I also noticed that Claire noticed, that's my partner, we're watching it together. They don't have Appa in this episode almost at all. He's in like the first 5 minutes, and that's it. They don't really show Appa at all. I think it's because Appa is just really hard to do in live action, period. So they're using him as little as they can, which makes me wonder, how are they going to do Appa's Lost Days? Are they going to do Appa's Lost Days? I hope they do Appa's Lost Days. I mean, that's season 2, so we have like another 2 to 3 years to wait for that. But I'm still, how are we going to do that? And then we get back to Katara and Zuko and Aang. And Katara notices that Zuko is coming up to attack them, and they start fighting, and she's kind of holding her own, but then she gets beaten. Like, once he starts, like, he actually gets serious. He stops her, which I like. I like that they've kept that she is able to bend now. Like, she understands the motions, but she's not quite skilled enough to fight Zuko off yet. That's one of the big things in the show, is that she's not good enough until Paku trains her, and then there's that whole scene where it's like,
you little peasant, you found a master, haven't you?
Right? And she finally beats him, but it's at night, and then he's like, and then when the day comes up, he is able to beat her. I kind of like that they kept it that she's like competent, but not really good yet. You know, if you know what I mean. I hope it's coming across the way I mean it too. You know, like she's still at step like 1 or 2, and he's at like step 15. Anyways, and then Yoshi's like, you want to see the power of the Avatar State? I'll fucking show you the power of the Avatar State. And just fucking takes over his body. And Claire was like, what the fuck? Do we ever see Kyoshi in the flesh? And it's like, yeah, we do that one time. So it's not that weird. And especially, again, Kyoshi would. I think out of all avatars we know, Kyoshi's the most likely to just fucking take over and be like, fine, you know what? You're not good enough. I am. And just fucking take over Aang's body. So it makes sense. And then we see how strong an avatar can be, and holy fuck, she was destroying the Earth, not the Earth Kingdom, the Fire Nation soldiers. And I like how Zhao's even like, oh shit, we gotta fucking get out of here. Like, Zhao is usually very much like, just fight it doesn't matter, I'll win. But he's also not completely an idiot. We do see that in the Siege of the North, that he's like, he knows, don't attack at night, wait till the day. And I think he realizes when he sees Kyoshi, he's like, I cannot beat her, we cannot beat her, we gotta back the fuck out of here. And it was really good. I like this episode. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, I think the second episode was really good. And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, who said this show is emotionless? Like, seriously, I want to know my friend who he watched review this that said the show is emotionless. It is not emotionless. The emotions are a lot more muted from the cartoon. And that is because one is a cartoon, one is live action. People emote in very different ways in real life than they would in cartoons. In cartoons, everything has to be played up more because it's animation, okay? You know, when you do voice acting, you have to put a lot more energy into it to really get the humanity through the microphone into the animated character. In live action, in real life, people do not talk like the way they do in cartoons, okay? Take any JRPG with voice acting or any animated show. Walk out in public and start talking like characters. Like in one of my favorite games, Kingdom Hearts, I saw some people who were playing it for the first time. They saw the way the characters were talking. They're like, Sokka, so Sora, what do we do? I wonder. I don't know what to do. Like the characters are constantly moving like that. Like doing this, they're like talking with their hands, like going da 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 da. People don't do that. Like I know they talk about like Italian people are always moving their hands, but they're never like, so what do we do, man? I don't know what we do. Like even I move around a lot in these recordings because of my ADHD, and I like to move, and I'm constantly shifting. But I'm never going like, hey, so this is what I think of Avatar. Like they have to constantly have them moving in animated formats, if you know what I mean, to make it seem less stale. When in real life, when you're talking to someone, you do very subtle movements. All right, like you'll lift your shoulders, you'll tilt your head, you might nod your head, you might put your hand here and scratch. But very rarely are you moving around the whole time you're talking. It's very distracting in live action. So again, whoever said it was emotionless, I think they were expecting it to be exactly like the cartoon where they're bigger, larger than life, very energetic. But this is live action. People need to act like people in live action. Watch all your favorite movie scenes and tell me, are people waving their hands around or are they a lot more subtle? I'll give you an example. In The Empire Strikes Back, when he says, Obi-Wan never told you about your father. Yes, he did. He told me you killed him, right? Does he go, Obi-Wan never told you about your father, did he? Yes, he did. He told me you killed him. Does he, which, is it more subtle than that? Or is it more energetic? Maybe I'm being too like, there's only the extremes, but just watch that scene again and show me how much movement characters are doing. Is it super over the top, larger than life, or is it a little bit more subtle than you remember? And that's the point I will leave off. I think the show is doing a great job of being a live action adaptation. Again, is it better than the show? No, nothing will be better than the show in my opinion. It is already fantastic. It is one of, if not my favorite show of all time. So I'm going to be super biased in that regard. But we already have the show. If you want Avatar: The Last Airbender and you want the version that we have in the show, you have the show, okay? The live action version will be different. Is it perfect? I don't know yet. I haven't finished it. Can it be perfect? No, nothing can be perfect. Nothing can be perfect. But I still enjoy it. I think it's fun. If you don't enjoy it, please tell me in the comments. I want to know why you don't enjoy it. I would like to hear people's opinions on this. I might not read your comments because some of your comments might be talking about future episodes, but I will by the last review. Before the last review, I will try to read all the comments I get. All right? Anyways, thank you guys again for watching. We'll see you tomorrow with episode 3. And remember, don't believe in yourself. Believe in me, who believes in you. Bye-bye, friends. Hey, thanks for watching another ADHD review. If you liked the video, smash that like button. If you want to see more, click subscribe. I'm going to try and put out a episode for Avatar live action Netflix every single day after it comes out for each episode. I also live stream on Twitch, so if you want to go see that, click the link in the description, leave a comment of what you thought of the show, and we'll see you next time.